A lot of people, when they hear about unschooling, they think about no structure, no education, basically just wild children who are raising themselves. And that is not the case. On the outside, it's always going to look a little bit different to somebody else, especially if you're very accustomed to seeing education in one particular way. If the only way you know how to learn is in a classroom with a teacher teaching you the subjects that you need to learn, that's going to be your only worldview. I was not in school until I was in 8th grade when I was 13 years old. This is for people who are looking for something that's a little bit more flexible, a little bit more child unique, and a little bit more fun, in my opinion. Homeschooling is a broad term for education at home, while unschooling is a child-led approach to homeschooling that prioritizes natural interests and experiences over a formal curriculum. Unschooling is not going to look like a typical school day. It can sometimes, but typically unschooling is a little bit less predictable. We personally use a curriculum, not anything formal, but we have some guidelines and things that we use to structure what we're learning. It's not anti-education, it is anti-box. We don't learn through traditional sit down at a desk or a table and write or look at flashcards or study this, study that. We read a lot of books, we play a lot of games, and I'm very intentional about the things that they have around them to play with. When we have screen time, we are very intentional about what we're watching on the screen. For our family, we have a 19-month-old and a newly 3-year-old, two remote working parents. We are usually on opposite schedules, but our daily flow looks like me in the morning with the children and dad in the evening with the children. Usually we wake up, we end up doing some type of playing or some type of activity. Sometimes my son decides to look at books. We just kind of hang out. Now that we're getting the backyard area together, they want to go outside first thing in the morning, especially Isis. She loves being outside. She's a nature baby, 100%. Aside from that, we don't really have anything that we have to do every single day. We do have to go outside every day, usually, even when it rains. I was reading a book called There's No Such Thing as Bad Weather. Well, I was listening to the audiobook. The overall takeaway from it for me was that they are prepared for the weather that they're putting these children in, that they're not just expecting them to fend for themselves. They're building an immune system. There were so many benefits. It helped to solidify the fact that I knew I wanted to do some type of nature inspired play. So that's what inspired our outdoor classroom, because we have a backyard that we wanted to start using a lot more. In the beginning of having 2 under 2, I was taking the children to the park a lot, and it became exhausting making them get dressed and packing up a bag and our activities and things and going somewhere every single day. We do have a playroom. That is their space. This is the dedicated room that's open. Dad's office is right there. I'm in the living room or in the playroom with them. There's no closed areas. It's accessible for both of the children, and it's always being rotated, moved around to keep it fresh when they start to get bored. It's always helping them to focus on something. Sometimes we go places, sometimes we don't. Most of the time we go in the backyard. Something is always coming together back there. We have a garden. We read almost every single day. Some days we don't. We are not perfect, but for the most part, we read for nap time and we read for bedtime. And in between, if somebody just wants to read, we just read. We have a lot of projects that are just in the works at the same time. And so our unschooling life looks like that. It looks like us learning a lot of things together. We are learning about chakras together, learning how to garden together. I had never grown black eyed peas before, and they got to experience that with me. And every single day we go and we check on it together, and they get to see me be excited. We did all of that. Everything that we have back there, we grow. I feel like, okay, we did that. We learned together. So just that's how we live our life. We learn as a family together. I think unschooling does cultivate that learning is supposed to be a lifelong journey. The key philosophy is exposure without pressure. So we're not saying you have to learn how to play the drums. We're not saying that you have to learn how to skate. We're not saying that, oh, you have to be perfect at these things, but we are exposing them at a very young age so they can naturally tell us what their interests are, and we can feed into that. How do our kids learn? Through play. Play equals literacy, math, problem solving, social skills, science. It's everything. I think that adults should also learn through play. I'm a person who likes to learn through play. Let's use the dollhouse as an example. We just got a little playhouse with little people, and we just role played how to answer the front door. Building independence in daily life. This was something that really stood out to me when I was first exposed to the Montessori method. My first exposure, I was in Vietnam, and I did substitute teaching for an international Korean school that was based in Vietnam. I was the substitute English teacher for a winter camp for 5-year-olds. And I was blown away. It blew me away how these children behaved and what their day looked like. And it was a Montessori Korean school. I learned so much, and it had me just looking up everything. I went down a rabbit hole like most people do, where they start realizing this is possible for children at this age to understand. And then it just kind of expanded my mind to a lot of different educational philosophies as I started to do more research. How do we build independence in daily life? Real drinking glasses. We skipped the sippy cups for both children. They get their own utensils. They have their own snack drawers at this point. They have access to art supplies, even at 19 months. Yes, there are crayons and all of these things that are left out for them to get to. We don't just get these things and leave them there. We make sure that they have a respect for their property. We have had mishaps, and we deal with those things, and we learn from our mistakes, and we do better every single time. We let them know that we trust them to respect these tools, and we explain to them why they're supposed to. We read books about respecting and taking care of our things and why that's important. How independence reduces clinginess and builds self-control. The fact is that all kids are clingy, first of all, so they're still going to be clingy, especially up until about 2 years old. And then when it's time for them to start venturing out, they have self-control. They have respect for their things. They know that you trust them to do the right thing and make good choices. They know that they are good people. When it's time to start expanding out into more social scenarios, I'm about to say is really important, is making sure that the environment is accessible for these small people. You have to take the time to teach them in ways that they can understand how to do for themselves, and then allow them to try and mess up a few times and gradually get better at doing for themselves. Yes, you're going to have some spills. You're going to clean up some messes. You're going to make mistakes. Everybody does. Even adults do these things when they're learning something new. When you start a new job, you make mistakes. And you don't get fired immediately. With children, if somebody spills something, they can help clean it up. And that's not to say that I expect them to have it perfect, but it's them having accountability from the very beginning, how their actions affect the environment around them and why it's important for them to be careful. Do we spend every moment together? People would think that because they're so young, but because they're so independent, they are often just in other places in the house doing whatever it is that they want to do. Yes, I'm supervising. Yes, I'm watching them, but I'm also recording this, speaking right now, and there are no children around because I have time to myself. Dad works remotely, so he's always a backup right there, and they play on their own. Most times we are even in the same space together while I'm doing things independently. The long-term vision beyond their early years is for them to finish the 12th grade at the typical age where someone is starting the 9th grade. Around 14, 15 years old, and going on to higher education, technical skills, internships, whatever it is that they want to do. Taking time off, traveling, to have some time before real life starts for them to just be. With the pace that they're moving at, without me putting any pressure on them, they will be able to finish early if I stay on top of what I need to do to continuously challenge them, which is hard to do because I didn't expect for my 3-year-old to be starting to read already. So you can see, what sound is this letter make? Yeah. You want to try another one? Yeah. So I had to scramble and find out how to support him in that, and what's the next steps for teaching phonics and blending, finding the right apps and programs and all of that kind of stuff. It takes work to help children progress as quickly as they will progress if you don't limit them. but that's where all the real effort is. Independence and freedom matter, especially for Black families. This world is against us in a lot of different ways, and we have to make sure that our children are prepared to enter that world. Not with armor on for a battle, but aware of a battle that's already going on, regardless of if we want to be soldiers or not. So how do we plan to handle higher level learning? A lot of people, when it comes to wondering if they should or could homeschool, thinking that they don't have the knowledge to homeschool someone, which is just not the case. Nobody knows everything. Even a high school teacher only teaches English or math or whatever. They're not expected to teach every single thing, and neither are you, or neither am I. When it is above me, I do not see any problem with taking online courses, having mentors, dual enrollment. I want to make sure that that investment in the higher level learning is an actual investment and not just a passive experience that I'm putting my children into. We're going to be going deeper into things before we move along. Unschooling isn't for everybody, but it is worth understanding. Even if it's not for you, I do think that it's helpful if you understand that other people don't do things the same way, and that everybody that you meet might not even be brought up the same way. I think awareness of other education philosophies is smart because your kids are going to be growing up in a world with these people. It's always good to prepare for that. I would love to have comments, questions, concerns. I would love that. Please do. We do have a Black homeschooled preschoolers group. We talk about things and we share resources. We're in different states. It's not a lot of us. You're welcome to join it if you are a Black parent of a preschooler. That means birth up until 6. I guess as the kids get older, the group is probably going to get older too, though. I never thought of that.